Hey, James here at Pillars of Freedom. Today we're tackling a serious issue that's stretching beyond Texas, the migrant crisis in New York City. Let's dig into what's happening and catch up on the latest updates. Stick around, like, and subscribe.
At this insane video, a group of migrants in New York City are arrested after attacking NYPD officers in Times Square. 5 were arrested and 4 are already released without bail.
All right, the brawl started when 2 officers were trying to break up a rowdy crowd near a migrant shelter on 42nd Street. While arresting one of the men, the other said, hey, I'm not going to just sit there. I'll jump in. I'll start kicking. I'll stop punching the officers. After all, I don't belong in this country anyway. I could beat up an NYPD officer. What'll actually happen? The Manhattan DA's office saying it's investigated the incident as police search for 5 other men involved. Every part of this incident could have been avoided if you didn't allow 67,000 people to call New York home who don't belong here. And what happened is, instead of being grateful, they're creating chaos. They get free food, free laundry. Right. They can do whatever they want, free shelter. And when they start fighting each other and NYPD comes to enforce the law, they beat up the cops.
Right.
Forget you try to wrap your head around that.
30 Saturday night, you can see 5 men and 2 officers interacting on camera. Seems calm and ordinary until the pair of officers attempt to take down one of the men in yellow, pictured here. And then it gets ugly.
You saw the video. Reprehensible. Cowards.
It starts with one kick to a cop's head and only escalates from that point on. Seconds later, the men swarm around the officers already on the ground by this point, striking them both multiple times.
You want to know why our cops are getting assaulted? There's no consequences. And we must change this. End of story.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office sent us a statement in part saying, quote, violence against police officers is never acceptable. It is paramount that we conclusively identify each defendant and specify each participant's role in the incident. Every defendant charged so far is facing felony charges that carry a penalty of up to 7 years. It's not clear what triggered the fight, but it's part of a rising trend of citywide felony assaults on police. Police report a jump of 1,885 assaults in 2022 to 2,235 last year, representing a more than 15% spike in assaults.
It really begs the question as to what is being done within the criminal justice system to not only keep officers safe, but keep us as a community safe.
Dr. Darren Porcher, retired as an NYPD lieutenant and teaches now. He notes his concern with the potential attack's impact on numbers on the police force and context with NYPD's already troubling attrition rate.
When we look to situations such as officers being assaulted and the actual offenders being released, it really creates a greater propensity for people not wanting to take the job as being a police officer.
Crisis at Republicans' feet. And sadly, rhinos in the Senate are more than happy to help him do it. But is it working? Well, we sent Raymond Arroyo to the scene where the NYPD officers were attacked by vicious migrants to ask real Americans about who they think is responsible for this migrant mess.
Laura, it was in front of this building on 42nd Street where 2 cops tried to break up a mob, and they were assaulted by illegal aliens who are now out bail-free. I decided to ask New Yorkers what should be done and their reaction to the incident. Do you blame President Biden for that?
I do, because the wall was being built. Then it got stopped.
Honestly, I think we have to protect the border. We need to know who's here, and I'm a diehard Democrat, and I'm saying that.
Your thoughts on who's to blame for this migrant crisis we're seeing in the city?
The government. You know why the government is to blame? Because they let them in. And the only way they can get in is through the government.
Who do you blame specifically?
Joe Biden.
Why?
I blame Joe Biden because Donald Trump didn't let no migrants in.
President Biden.
Why?
Because the border's wide open.
There's a guy named Joe Biden.
Is that who you blame?
That's where everything started about 4 years ago.
I blame the White House. They could do a heck of a lot more than what they're doing to close the border.
The governor here says they should be deported, particularly these guys who attack the cops. Do you support deporting these people?
If they don't have the credentials to be able to adapt into society, then deport them back to where they belong.
They need to go back. They need to get deported. I mean, they're not here legally.
We've got to deport them. We got to get rid of them, but I don't know how to do it once they get in here. So we got a mess, don't we?
Deport it, or stop allowing them to come to our city and bringing up their garbage over here. We don't need that. We already got our own system going on. People are already in the shelter for 3-4 years. It's not fair they got to leave once somebody else come from somewhere else.
All those guys are out. They're 19-year-old Venezuelans beating the cops.
They belong deported into their jail in Venezuela.
Why are you beating cops up? What's wrong with you?
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate this opportunity to highlight to my colleagues what exactly is happening in New York City as a result of Joe Biden's manufactured open borders policy and the crisis that is created in terms of a migrant crisis in New York City. This morning, a lot of New Yorkers woke up to the news that 2 of our NYPD officers were attacked by a mob of migrants. It's outrageous to think that individuals who came to this country and claimed to be innocent asylum seekers would attack our police officers. That disrespect is unbelievable. But sadly, it is not the only time we've seen crimes like this taking place. Now let's remember, the individuals that are coming through the southern border are paying thousands of dollars to the drug cartels to be smuggled here. My mayor is further incentivizing this by offering housing, food, health care, education, legal services, laundry services, you name it. The taxpayers are paying to house those individuals who attack those police officers. But that's not all we're seeing happen. Let me show you a few headlines from recently. All in New York. An illegal immigrant bites off police sergeant's finger after a DUI, driving while intoxicated bust. 4 migrants arrested for stealing more than $12,000 in goods from Long Island's Macy's. New York City migrant pickpocketing teams are the newest headache for the NYPD. Asylum seeker accused of killing another at Randall's Island migrant shelter. A woman arrested after slapping an NYPD cop. Migrants are behind the boom in New York City's red light district. Eric Adams, Democratic mayor, says. Democratic mayor is also saying that this is destroying New York City. We're seeing New York City struggle to pay for this crisis that Joe Biden, again, once created with his executive orders, 60 policy changes he made from the Trump administration that made our border wide open. Chuck Schumer and the Senate refused to do anything. They refused to pass our bill, H.R. 2, which would end this crisis today. I called ICE this morning and I said, I want these individuals deported. The ones that are committing crimes like attacking our police officers. Can we at least agree as Democrats, Independents, and Republicans that we should not tolerate that? What also really concerns me is that we've caught hundreds of people on the terror watch list at our border. The fact that me as a New Yorker from a post 9/11 world, that we have to question that there are 1.8 million people that have totally evaded law enforcement. In fact, Customs and Border Patrol union leader today told us it's probably more like 4 million. That's on top of the 8 million or so that have come, paid the cartels to come in here and claimed asylum. We're not even talking about those people who turned themselves in. We're talking about the 4 million gotaways. We don't know who they are, where they are, what their intentions are, and that should concern every single person in this body, particularly the President of the United States.
Thank you for joining us on this powerful journey with Pillars of Freedom. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to stay tuned for more impactful content. We're eager to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let's continue the conversation. Together, let's explore the pillars that make our nation strong. I'm James, signing off for now. Until next time.